Hey guys, I'm hoping I could remember everything I did in my last video because the last video was perfect. For some reason, I couldn't upload it to anything. I couldn't text it. I couldn't email it. I don't know if the file got correct, somehow got corrupted. I couldn't even move it onto my laptop. So I don't know what the deal is. But so I looked at the Schneider Hammers site and a couple of things. I think the first thing is I ran it through the speed test to see if this kind of menu and all that code would slow the site down. With responsive site, there isn't two sites. It used to be you'd have your regular desktop version, then you'd have a mobile version. And so you could have like separate menus. But now that they're responsive, they're kind of the same menu. With WordPress, you can kind of say, okay, I don't want you to display this on a mobile, or you have a lot. You can like unselect it, certain options of your website to be displayed on mobile. But I ran this through Google Site Speed, and the home page is actually very fast. It's like 2 seconds, so it's super fast. But on mobile, it got like a really terrible score. It was like 9 out of 100. It was awful. And I'm thinking a lot of it's probably all this. So a couple of things. So the first thing is we want to make sure SEO and the user experience are like number one. The SEO follows the user experience, so whatever we do for the user experience will affect, obviously, if you improve how people, spend time on your site and click through on your website, that helps with SEO. And the longer people spend on your site, the more likely they are to hire you. And I know through research, from LexisNexis, people do tend to search different lawyer sites before making a choice. Then they kind of, whichever one they've spent more time on, they typically will connect to that firm. They'll create a list, like a top 3 list, and then usually they'll go look at reviews and stuff. And verdicts and settlements is a big thing with personal injury, testimonials, reviews, case studies. That kind of stuff's really important. So I created something that I think would be really great and unique and different, and but gives the user a better experience than this, because I don't think this is a very good experience. It looks good, but most people aren't going to understand how to navigate that, and there's a lot going on. And it takes people longer to figure out what to do. And so I'm going to show you some better options for that. And then also that's going to, make it useful. Like, this is not like, when we create stuff, we should think in terms of, does it add value? Does it make that experience better? And so I'm going to show you kind of my thoughts on something that's going to work out really, really well. So I'm going to try to explain this in kind of a step-by-step sequence. So first thing is, we're doing a lot more of the product liability stuff. So here's what I think we ought to do. So here's our current menu right here. And as you can see, there's not a lot of room up here for links. Like when you come and you look at some of these other sites, there's a lot more links. Oh, by the way, this is freaking brilliant, and we need to steal that. No fee unless you win. Click here for more information. It takes you to a specific page on that. I don't like where they put it. And I don't like some of the stuff on this site, but some of the stuff that they're doing on this site I'll get into is freaking brilliant and works awesome. But since we're doing defective products, drugs, medical devices, and I would add another one, auto recalls, and I don't like all these links and stuff. I think you should keep things really clean. The fewer links that you use, the more authority those pages become. But you can see these are what are called content silos, which we did with the location pages, and it worked really good. I want to do that with all the other items as well. Practice areas, defective drugs, medical devices, defective products. So you got defective drugs, medical devices, and products, and then auto recalls. So I think that should be separate. Or motor vehicle recalls or stuff like that. So you have motorcycles, cars, because there's all sorts of that stuff going on. And I think it makes sense to do that. So that would be the first thing, is to make the navigation where we have these silos. One of the other things I really like is this site has how were you injured in a car accident, in a truck accident, by a medical professional. Somebody close to me has died. I was injured on somebody's property in a nursing home, by a medical professional. This is really good, and for the user experience in particular. And what I did was I actually mapped this out, how, location pages, geographical pages, state pages, city pages, all that, and the types of injuries. Because when you have a car accident, you have different scenarios, you have different injuries, and you have different geographical locations. So there's a lot going on. And so what I did was, for the last couple of weeks, is I kind of mapped some of this stuff out, how all that would work. And then you have type of injury, like dog bites, eye injury, back injury, broken bones, slip and fall injuries, spinal cord injuries. This is a really cool idea. So think in terms of, if we had a main navigation, and that main navigation gave us, like maybe accidents and injuries would be here, or maybe accidents would be here. How were you injured? Types of injuries, defective drugs, medical devices, product liability, and auto accidents, or motor vehicle recalls. Or we don't even have to do all those, but I'm just saying, the more that we can silo like this, the better. The other issue with the site is, we have some areas, like, other states, we don't really have that many practice areas. Well, did somebody put these back up? I didn't know that these were back up. Hold on, let me back up. So we have Atlanta, and we have all these practice areas. But there's going to be some that are, we don't want to do a lot of cross back and forth. And so let's say somebody's in Albany. That would mean we'd have to, for every drug that we put out or everything, we'd have to create one for Albany. So what I was thinking, what we could do to make it simple, to make it easy and stuff. Let me get my thoughts together here. What would really make this complicated is, it's basic, we're adding pages, but we don't have pages for everything all at once. So I found a solution to that. I'm just going to say I have a solution to that. Instead of doing something like this, where it's going to be complicated, it doesn't really add much user experience to it. A lot of people don't even understand that these would be links. We're all really web savvy, but a lot of people aren't. These menus are pretty new. We've been doing these menus way before anybody else. But I think that this kind of is too confusing. It doesn't offer a lot of value. So let me kind of tie all this stuff together. So in the main navigation bar, and considering the fact we're using location pages and state pages and all that, what we ought to do is we ought to have a navigation structure that's kind of similar to this. Results, then you have your locations, type of injury, how are you injured, and then we could do, like, defective drugs, medical devices. These could actually be one. It could be medical devices and drugs, and then defective products, auto recalls. These can all be in one too. But here's the way I think we ought to do it, so that it's good for SEO, it's good for mobile, because again, the Schneider Hammers, they're doing terrible on mobile, and I think it's that big menu, all that code. And so what I think we ought to do is create menus like this. So you would have a drop down. So anytime, if, let's say, for example, I added a menu or added a page for, a pedestrian accident page for Alabama. Okay, if you have this big Schneider menu, it's going to look crap. It's going to look all weird and unbalanced and crappy, and it's just not going to work out. It's not going to look good. But also, you want silos. These are what are called content silos. So you want to have this happen. But what I'm saying is, let's take the best of everything that's out there. Okay, all the things you want, but then we're going to make it even better by having this kind of structure. This is what I'd recommend, because here's what we can do. So you could have like bicycle accidents, and then this could be a link that says, click here for our, bicycle accident claims center. Boom. So they can click over and go right to the bicycle accidents, right? So from a user perspective, I can click on that link, and I can also click on this link, and then I can also put content and links down here. So think about this for a second. Let's say with car accidents, right? So I'm hovering over here. There's car accidents. I can put links down here to car accident FAQs, recent car accident settlement, verdicts and settlements, or car accident, claims results, our results. And so that we could create a page just for all your car accident settlements and verdicts and stuff like that. Case studies. We could have, visit our car accident blog. We can have it so it's all just tremendous amount of resources here. We could get all the car accident videos on one page together. View our car accident videos. But people really want to see, your verdicts and settlements. They want to see testimonials. We can put that in here. And so it's all highly relevant. And then as the site builds out and as you get cases in other states, we can make that all state specific too. So, but this would give us a way better user experience than just having a menu with some links on it. I know this looks pretty, but it's not very useful. People don't really understand how to navigate all that. It's not good for SEO. You're not going to get people clicking on here as much as you would think that they would, because most people, they're just not that savvy enough to understand all this stuff. They don't know really what a personal injury is, and they don't know a lot of the terminology. So I do like some of the things that they have, like this contact us. That's really cool. I like that. It's a cool feature. I like this attorneys feature. And I think this is really attractive. But from a user, SEO, everything, this is the way to go. And then when you're in here, then we can have all sorts of relevant stuff, like, motorcycle accident FAQs, verdicts and settlements, case studies. We could talk about, motorcycle accidents so the actual user experience would be much better because we're directing people to relevant issues that are most important for them by area of practice. So, for example, if I'm going to hire a car accident attorney, or most other people, when you look at the data, they look at the verdicts and settlements, they look at your testimonials. You're going to give it to them all in one place, and it's so much more easier to navigate this. Like, for example, when you come here, you'll see, one of the attorneys here, and then you can see, visit the profile, verdicts and settlements. All that stuff's all already hyperlinked in here. And we can make the image a little bit smaller, giving us more space here to put stuff. So this is the way I would do it. Again, I'll just recap. What I would do is, create like maybe a defective products drop down. We can put drugs in there if you want, or we can separate them. I also wanted to show you this because I really think that this is great stuff right here. How were you injured? And then type of injury. I think that those would be really good to have. So I would think something like, maybe you have you have your practice areas list. Then you would have something like, how are you injured? Type of injury. Those are things that you could do. As you can see, more and more people are starting to do this. Oh, and by the way, they're even doing the locations thing. But here's what I found. And again, this goes back to exactly what I was talking about, was they're having a hard time getting all the content for all these pages. So they probably looked at your site and they're probably trying to mimic it, but they don't understand the structure. And then also the biggest issue is content. That's why I started a content company, because content is what generates traffic. That's why our traffic's gone up a lot. We have over 20% more leads from organic so far in March than we had last year. So that's a big bump. And the more content we add, and the more we add every day, these people will never be able to. People are not going to catch up. Trust me, they're just not going to. So those were my ideas. Again, I think what we probably need to do is figure out, I like the size of the fonts here. I think our fonts are, that's the other thing with the site that I think we should improve upon is the font sizes. I know when we go to try to post stuff in the blog, when we try to use H1 tags and H2 tags, they're a little bit on the large side. Let me see if I can find an example. I'm going to get with Jess about that to try to get those, to get that fixed. But I hope this is helpful. It's a lot to try to explain. But again, I just think that we need to use this siloing technique like this for the different drugs and medical devices. And then if we use a menu like this, we can actually make we can actually do what you're doing, but actually make it more valuable to the user by directing them to what's important for them and what's going to create more conversion. So I hope that makes sense. Anyway, I'll talk to you all later. Bye.